Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. In this week's segment of disingenuous Democrats trying to dunk on people and the whole thing backfiring on them spectacularly because they're totally partisan, dishonest political hacks, we have the White House making complete fools of themselves once again. White House staffers taking control of the White House Twitter account and making possibly one of the most dishonest, ridiculously stupid student loan forgiveness arguments I think I've ever witnessed. And the funniest thing is all of these vote blue no matter who far lefty Democrats on Twitter are all promoting this stuff and repeating this stuff like a group of squawking parrots without even taking a literal second to think about how stupid this argument is. We're talking about the comparison to student loan forgiveness in respect to PPP loans and PPP loan forgiveness. Democrats think they have a solid gotcha moment here, but it's backfiring and backfiring hard because the whole premise is incredibly dishonest. Let me show you guys exactly what's going on here. Nothing exactly new. Dumb arguments from Democrats is basically what we cover on a daily basis. We've got some stuff to get into, folks, so let's roll the tape. Alright friends, so it all started with this one little clip from Marjorie Taylor Greene on Newsmax the other day.
But for our government just to say, okay, well, your debt is completely forgiven. Obviously, they have an agenda for that. They need votes in November. So the timing is a pure coincidence there as well. But it's completely unfair. And taxpayers all over the country, taxpayers that never took out a student loan, taxpayers that pay their bills and maybe even never went to college or just hardworking people, they shouldn't have to pay off the great big student loan debt for some college student that piled up massive debt going to some Ivy League school. That's not fair.
And then the next day, the White House comes with the receipts. This from the actual White House Twitter account, playing petty politics trying to dunk on MTG. Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene had $183,504 in PPP loans forgiven. They then went later on, starting a Twitter account going after as many Republican congresspeople that they can. Representative Vern Buchanan writes, "As a blue-collar kid who worked his way through college, I know firsthand the sacrifices people make to receive an education. Biden's reckless, unilateral student loan giveaway is unfair to the 87% of Americans without student loan debt and those who played by the rules." They then retweet him and write, "Congressman Vern Buchanan had over $2.3 million in PPP loans forgiven." The list goes on all the way down through a bunch of different representatives where they continue to out these Republicans for having PPP loans forgiven. They thought this is it, this is the dunk we needed. And as you look through the Twitter feed and see how many likes all of this stuff is getting, well, you know what? To a certain segment of the population, it worked. Of course, the vote blue no matter who crowd. But people who are being intellectually honest can immediately see how weak of an argument this is. In fact, even left-wing journalists, part of the White House press corps, can see right through this political rhetoric scam.
I wanted to just go back to your comparison between this and the PPP loans, because what Republicans and critics are saying is that there's a difference between those decisions being voted on by Congress and those loans that turned into grants being by and large for to cover businesses that were shut down by the government involuntarily because of a natural disaster versus students who willfully took out their loans and are now unable for whatever reason to repay them. There is a difference there.
And that right there is the key distinction. PPP loans were forced onto people. No one's forcing you to go to college or go to a very expensive college to get a useless degree that you'll never be able to pay back, but the government shutting your business down and denying you and your employees' livelihood, then subsidizing your business and subsidizing your employees' salaries with PPP loans is a completely different concept. This is such a dishonest argument. Not to mention, loan forgiveness was literally baked into the PPP loan legislation in the first place. Tom Fitton writes, "Fact check, PPP loan forgiveness is part of the legislation passed by Congress. Congress has not passed the student loan forgiveness program, which means that Joe Biden's decision to spend $600 billion is an unlawful and unconstitutional abuse of power. That's the difference. PPP loan forgiveness was part of the legislation. It was passed by Congress. I mean, for Pete's sakes, they shut your business down, then they subsidized your business. It would have been borderline criminal for them to do that and then expect you to pay every dime back." The White House is getting completely roasted on Twitter Twitter. Here's Ben Shapiro's response. So it is now the White House's position that if the government forces you to shut down your business and provides you just compensation to keep people employed, that's the same thing as you failing to pay the college loans that you voluntarily undertook. Geniuses. This is one of the dumbest, most dishonest political attack campaigns and political rhetoric I have ever witnessed. And all the vote blue no matter who far left seals clapping and cheering this on, you look ridiculous. I mean, frankly, supporting this type of legislation in general shows a complete inability of critical thought. It is such bad policy. And this is one of the main reasons why government spending is just so trash. It's also why PPP loans were trash. Because the government is very bad at actually targeting money spending in legislation. They end up casting too wide of the net, it gets abused, and billions of dollars are wasted. That's exactly what's happening here. Let's first start off with the White House framing once again.
Because at the end of the day, what the president is trying to do and wants to do just to cut through this noise, he wants to make sure that we are delivering for millions and millions of Americans. This plan is going to help 90% of Americans that is making less than $75,000 a year. That matters. That is going to be a game changer for Americans who want to buy a home, Americans who potentially want to start a family. Give them that breathing room that is so needed at this time.
Okay. This bill is going to help 90% of people making less than $75,000 a year. The implication here is that this bill is targeted towards people who only need it. Well, the Penn-Wharton budget model says that close to 70% of the benefits are going to go to the top 60% of earners. I wonder why. Because guess what? A lot of young professionals, a lot of people with good degrees headed towards good paying jobs aren't making more than $75,000 yet. They have student loans, they're going to get student loan forgiveness. They're currently making less than $75,000 a year, but a lot of them are working towards being doctors, lawyers, accountants, pharmacists, software engineers, working in the finance sector, business people. They may be making less than $75,000 a year now, but their career path headed forward has them on a trajectory to make a ton of money. Well, those people, you're now paying for their student loans. The Penn-Wharton budget model says that close to 70% of the benefits are going towards people who are in the top percentage of earners. Surprise, surprise, you don't make $700,000 a year your first year out of college. It takes a while to get to that point. This bill is not targeting people that are struggling. I mean, the entire premise is ridiculous. People with big student loans tend to be people who go to fancy, expensive colleges. Those are among the most privileged and most academically gifted people in society. The idea that they need help and their lives should be subsidized on the backs of the working class is absurd. If you go to a college or university and you apply for a loan to pay for that schooling, you are doing so as an investment. You're investing in your potential future to make more money through that educative process. You're putting a down payment on your future and then you're paying it off later. You consciously made that decision. And the idea that you might have made a bad investment or you made a mistake or you grossly exaggerated your level of competency or ability to earn income moving forward, well, that's on you. If you bet that money into crypto and you lose the whole thing, daddy and mommy government isn't coming to subsidize your losses. You made a bad investment and you gotta live with it. You went to university, you got a bachelor's, you got a master's, you studied all of this time, spent all of this money that you couldn't afford to get a useless degree in, I don't know, like anthropology or something. I mean, completely ridiculous. You're $200,000 in debt and you're a professional useless person. And now people who didn't go to college or people who joined the military to avoid having to pay for college or people who went to affordable colleges, worked their behinds off and paid their whole way through, those people are now paying into a tax system that's subsidizing professional useless people and also highly competent people who are currently making less than $75,000 a year. You're paying $10,000 off their debt when they're possibly going to make anywhere from, who knows, 200, 300, 400, 500,000, upwards of $1 million. In some cases, they'll make multiple millions of dollars a year. They're on a fast track to success, and now regular people who are working hard have to pay for their tuition, or at least a chunk of their tuition. It is utterly ridiculous. It's bad policy. Their arguments are complete garbage, and now dunking on people for taking PPP loans instead of firing their entire staff because, again, Democrat governments shut their business down. It's not a one-to-one equal comparison. It's a garbage comparison, and it shows just how dishonest, disingenuous, and and hyper-partisan these Democrats are. This is not the win that you think it is, Democrats. This is a massive, big, fat, colossal L. What else do you expect from the liberal, elitist, college-educated Democrats? They're just happy that entrepreneurs and hardworking people, most of which either made financially logical decisions and didn't go into debt when they didn't need to, or went into modest debt and then paid it off and were successful, they're just happy that those people are paying for their useless degrees. And now they're essentially spitting in your face too. Elitist Democrats will be elitist Democrats. That's what I got for you guys though. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe to the channel if you're up for it. I'm gonna get back to work. Thanks for watching, friends, and I'll see you on the next one.